I'm reading something called The Cracked Pot, and there's no original known author, but it is a very popular story in the Indian and Asian cultures. A water bearer in India carried two large pots suspended from a pole across his shoulders. One pot was perfect, while the other had a small crack. By the time they reached home each day, the cracked pot had lost half its water. The perfect pot was proud of its flawless performance. The cracked pot, however, was ashamed. One day it said to the water bearer, "I'm sorry. Because of my crack, I can never do my job completely." The water bearer smiled and replied, "Have you noticed the flowers growing along your side of the path? I knew about your crack, so I scattered flower seeds there. Every day, as we walked, you watered them. For years, I've gathered those beautiful flowers to brighten our home and to share with others. Without your imperfection, that beauty would never have existed." We all have cracks, places where life has challenged us, where we've fallen short, or where we've been hurt. Yet those very places often become the source of our greatest compassion, wisdom, and strength. Our imperfections can become gifts when we allow them to serve a greater purpose. Perhaps today, instead of hiding our cracks, we can honor them. They remind us that perfection is not what makes us valuable. It is our willingness to love, to grow, and to share ourselves that brings beauty into the world.
Puts you in kind of that meditative space a little bit, doesn't it? It's just the repetition and the music, and I think also the indigenous Native American words and beat to that. But as one signifies to me also that we are all a part of each other. Now, we all have separate lives, we all have separate dreams, we all have separate paths that we walk, but energetically, can something that you do in the course of a day or a week or a month or your life, can that affect somebody else? Can they feel that? Can they have the rhythm of that oneness, that energy, your being? And I don't know how many of you, but I know certainly I can say I do. I find a lot of times when the world seems to be a little off balance, that oneness can affect me. I can feel it sometimes in the way that I respond to people or respond to things. I find myself reacting rather than pausing. And even in the heartbeat of the world, the heartbeat of our earth, the heartbeat of each one of us, there's a pause in between each beat. And a lot of times, I think, in my opinion, we forget about that pause. We forget to pause. We forget that the energy around us is not only somebody else's energy or the combination of somebody else's energies or energy, but we forget that we can feel that. We forget that we can be influenced by that. And again, we go into a reaction rather than a thought. But that pause becomes so important sometimes. It's the old adage, think before you speak. Does it really think before you speak, or is it just take a pause before you speak? Does it mean just take a moment to understand what is going on or what you're going to say? How many times are we so ready to say something back to somebody that we're not even listening? We're really not even listening to what they're saying because we're in that reactive mode. We're in that mode of, I've got to get my 2 cents in, or I've got to say this, or I've got to counterbalance that. We don't pause. We just react. And with what's happening, what I found like really crazy with television now, you're watching something and then all of a sudden something's scrolling and then something pops up in the corner and then something else pops up and you're just looking at everything except probably what you started out watching. There's no pause in our world. There's no pause in our energy. There's no pause in our interactions with people, electronics, whatever is going on. It is in constant overload. And in the pause is the quiet. In the pause is that moment of thought, or in that pause can be our connection truly to people in our energetic form. Not what we're saying, not what they're saying, but what we're truly feeling from them and with them. But that happens in the pause, not the interaction. We talk about in mediumship, and when we have mediumship groups that we are doing and teaching and working with, we always start with the premise of in connection to the spirit world. We take that breath up, and as we take that breath up, in the pause before we exhale, is that ability, that space, that place of connection. And we talk about it in terms of connection to the spirit world, to the energy of the spirit. But it is also a connective place for each other. Because aren't we all energy? We're all energy. We all may have our different faces, our different outlooks, our different beliefs, our different way that we go through this world and this life. But we are first and foremost energy. And our energy is felt by ourselves, but also other people. I put myself in timeout a lot. I do. I just put myself in timeout because I know on certain days, in certain ways, certain times, my energy is not right. It's not, I shouldn't be presenting that to the world. I shouldn't be presenting that to my friends, to my family, because I'm off and not just right because of what's going on in my head. So I put myself in timeout, and that may be for a moment, it may be for an hour, it may be sometimes for a day, but I put myself in timeout. And what do I do in that timeout? I pause. I reflect. I don't think in terms of what's going on in the world. I think in terms of what's going on energetically. It's the pause. So when we don't pause, we are in constant energetic overload from each other, from our environments, from the TV, from the world. We are in constant energetic overload. And we just take that pause. We just stop for a moment. We feel our energy just settling in, just being who we truly are and not who we think we should be in this world. So we're going to try a little experiment if everybody's up for it. And if you're not up for it, that's fine. But we're going to pause a little bit. We're going to take some breaths. And we're going to pause in between. Then we're going to take some breaths and we're going to connect to the spirit world. And some people, I don't think really anybody here, but some people may say, well, I can't connect to the spirit world because I'm not a medium. Or I can't connect to the spirit world because I don't have the gift, in quotes. Our gift is that we are energy. And guess what? Everybody has that. There's nobody in this room, in this space, in the Zoom room that doesn't have their energy. So energy connects to energy. So let's do an experiment together and see in the pause, in the silence, how we feel about ourselves, our own energy, and then how we feel in connection to somebody else's energy in the spirit side. You don't have to close your eyes. You don't have to go into meditation. None of that connects us to anything except sometimes we need it for ourselves. But I'm just going to ask you to take a breath. And in between the breaths, take a pause. not so that you pass out. I don't want anybody turning blue. Just take a moment and feel, experience, understand. With each breath, take that moment to pause. Take that moment to feel who you are, sitting wherever you're sitting, in whatever country, whatever space. But connect to you without all of the scrolling underneath or the pop-ups in your mind. Allow yourself to be. Remembering that even our heart takes a pause in between beats. Just be. And then just for a moment, come back to awareness within this room, within our Zoom room, within our space together. And just notice if you feel how the energy has shifted in the space that you're in. Our friends on Zoom, do you feel an energy difference where you are? Just put your hand up if you do. Okay. How about our friends here in our space at the center? Do you feel a difference within you, around you? It feels softer, doesn't it? It feels quieter. It feels simpler. It feels that we are just being and not trying to be. So we're going to try this thought of connection to the spirit world. As we take the breath up, this time we don't pause at the end of our exhale. We take the breath up and we pause at the top of the inhale before we exhale. And with that pause, we send the thought out to somebody in the spirit world that we like. Somebody in the spirit world that we would like to connect with, that we would like to feel their energy, that we know that they're safe for us to feel that sense. And their energy may be very subtle. It may be very strong. It may be whatever it is, because there's no expectation. So take the breath up and pause for a moment before the exhale. And in that pause, send the thought out to your spirit person, guide, teacher, whoever it is, to step into the pause, to step into that space that you've created and allowed. And just for a moment, as you exhale, because you do have to exhale, remember that pause, that silence, that space you created allows for other energy. And just take a moment to experience that energy, whether it's supportive of you, whether it's apologetic to you, whether it's just another person to be with for a moment across the energetic space. Because when we use that pause, there is no space. It's just there. Just take a moment and feel what you feel, whatever it is, in that space, in that pause, in that moment that we took from our busyness, from the world, from our worries, from our illnesses, from whatever our heads put us in, to a connection that's love. That's energy to energy that we found by quieting, by pausing, by being all of who we are together. Now, in that connection, knowing that your friends, your family, your people in the spirit world are always available, are always around, are always there, if we give them the space and we don't occupy it only with our reactions to everything. So take another breath. Allow that energy of the spirit world to still be with you if you'd like. God bless. But also to start to blend away a bit, to give you your own space once again. And with your breath, bringing your awareness back into your space, back into your connection with you again, with each other here, with each other in our service today together, whether you're on Zoom or you're in this space here. Sometimes we want to stay there, don't we? We just kind of want to stay in that space because it's so different from what our bodies are used to every single moment of every single day in the reactiveness. But take a breath and bring your awareness back into this space, into this time, into your ownness. But recognize that anytime you need to disconnect a little bit, where you don't want to be in the reactiveness of what this world is right now, that you can do it by what? A breath and a pause. That's all it takes. You don't need, well, you could go away for a spa weekend. I don't want to deny anybody that, but you don't need a 3-day spa vacation. You can do it in a few minutes with the pause. But if anybody is going on the 3-day spa, let me know. But how do you feel? How do you feel in that connection? Do you feel a little less stressed? Do you feel a little less unconnected? Because again, everybody's energy is affecting everybody else's energy. We are as one. We are as one. So if we can all pause throughout the day, think about how that affects everybody else in the world. Not only in your immediate place, your family, your friends, but in the whole world. It's like one big chain link fence that you tap at one end with the pause, and it vibrates throughout the entire fence to the other end. And all of those spaces in between are all of us. So when we're in reaction mode, think about it. Do you want to be in that mode? Maybe you need to be in that moment of time. But when we don't, when we want to be in the rhythm of the heartbeat, of the earth's heartbeat, of our heartbeat, of our world's heartbeat, then we need to follow that example and find the pause in between. I'm not used to this group being this quiet. It's very unnerving. But hopefully you do feel a shift in your energy, a shift in your thought process. It's not working quite as quickly, is it? It's slowed down a little bit. So think about the pause from time to time this week when you can. Think about it in terms of, is it something that you want to put into your day each day for just a moment? It doesn't take a long time. And just find in the rhythm of the world, the rhythm of your life, just that moment to pause, be in the stillness, be in the quiet, be in the connection. Because that's who we truly are in this world. We are all connected. So thank you for your participation. Thank you for trying out something that maybe you don't normally try. And hopefully you can take that into the week or the weeks ahead with you.